Hey everyone, my name is Eric Paulson and I'm a sales engineer here with Coder. I'm going to show you how to create a Coder OSS workspace as an ECS hosted container. So right now I'm in my Coder OSS deployment, referencing the AWS ECS template that I've created. We'll go through the template Terraform code here on the left as I build the workspace. So I'll give it a name, so ECS. I'm going to input the ARN of the cluster that is going to be used to deploy the container workspace, and I'm pulling that from the cluster definition here within AWS console. And then I have some default values for the container resources. So while this is in progress, I'd like to pivot to the left-hand side here and show you or I should say, what resources we're provisioning. So right here in line 33, we're creating a task definition, which allows us to set the container definition. So defining the image, as well as the CPU and memory, as well as a command to invoke the Coder agent initialization script that's used for connecting the client to the Coder workspace in the remote server. As well, we're creating a mount point here to mount the home volume, which is actually defined as a Docker volume configuration. So what we're doing here is pulling and technically creating a Docker volume from the EC2 instance that is underneath the cluster. And we're going to set the scope to shared to ensure that it is persisted. Otherwise, when you turn off the workspace, the container will be brought down and the volume will be treated as ephemeral and be wiped. Something to note is that if you're using Fargate as a method of compute for these ECS container instances, the volumes will always be treated as ephemeral. So in terms of the way that Coder is intended to be used to have persistent home volumes and persistent data, it's not recommended to use Fargate as a method of compute with ECS. Down below here in line 84, we're creating an ECS service resource, and this is going to allow us to tie in the task definition that we created up above, as well as the cluster that the service is going to be created inside of. So really, the service represents the workspace, and that's what we're going to be accessing from the Coder OSS. Down below here, we have Coder-specific resources, such as the Coder agent. So this is where it's going to be initialized at the start of the container build. And then once the agent starts, we're going to invoke the startup script to deploy code server into the workspace. And then from a front-end dashboard perspective, we're going to render the code server icon and allow it to be clicked to spin up on localhost 13337. Allowing us to access the IDE. So we'll go back into Workspaces. We'll see that my ECS workspace is running, and you can see that this ECS task definition is where the Coder agent was invoked, and therefore we're going to open up code server here in another window and begin working on a project. What's nice is if you are to finish your work for the day and you want to turn off your workspace, what it will do is it will scale the service down to 0. So it will keep the task definition in place, but there won't be any compute being run because the service itself was scaled down. So as you can see here, we have the service that was created. There was one running, but now it was changed to a desired number of 0 since we turned it off. So if I click the service, you can see here, the events log says that the deployment was completed, it reached a steady state, and then now we have stopped the running task and have turned off the workspace. Great, hope you find that helpful. Thank you.